Alright, so here's the newest experiment for the channel. We're going to see if it works and how long it lasts. So, this is a, almost lost my hat. This is a coffee bean grinder from Amazon. It cost $18.99. Nothing crazy. I want to see how well this works with, another thing to test will be ceramic IC chips. We can run those through. But we have a whole bunch of MLCs to run through here, and we're going to first start it off with this. See if it works. If it doesn't work, well, I guess we're going to have the first flavor of coffee is going to be Ewaste flavored. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so we're going to run this, see if it works, see what we can get these looking like. So let's start with that. Let me plug this in, go like that, and we'll see how it grinds. Alright, so it has a max level, so we're not even close to that. And I think it goes like that. I think you push down on it. Oop, and make sure it's got a little notch in the cord. There we go. Now we got a firm. And alright, let's, here. We'll go like this. I'll stop it. And then restart it just in case it's loud. It's actually not terribly loud. Alright, so if I speed that up, it was 20 seconds worth of grinding. Crunched it up pretty good, actually. Huh. There you go. Alright, well, let's see if we can get some more to it. Yeah, don't breathe that stuff in. I'm going to pause the video and then restart it just so I don't know how it's going to sound on the audio. Alright, so that was another 20 seconds. I'm not going to stick my head over that. I'm going to let the fume hood get all that fun stuff. We'll go like this. I think that's good enough. It's probably not a good idea to stick my finger in there while it's still plugged. Don't do that. Alright, so we've ground these up. Now it's time to refine them. Let's see if we can get any silver out of these bad boys. Alright, go ahead and dump that in there. So this wasn't ashed at all. So what I'm hoping is that the ceramics in there won't absorb any of my solution. I don't think they will, but I can't guarantee that. I could probably gravity separate this as well, but gravity separation would require tap water, at least in my case. And if I use tap water, I'm going to introduce chlorine, which means I have to rinse it thoroughly with distilled water so that I don't make any silver chloride. So instead of that, we're just going to rely on the filter. I'm going to go straight into nitric with this. There's going to be tin. There's no question about that because there's definitely solder left on. So if I try to get rid of that, I got to use hydrochloric acid, which would also require the same thing of thoroughly rinsing it so that we don't introduce the hydrochloric to the nitric, the silver nitrate, to make silver chloride. So I feel like I'm going to skip all that headache, and if I have to filter this leftover powder out, I might as well filter out the tin. I mean, we're going to have to filter it out anyways. It's not a big deal to run it 2 or 3 times, especially with the amount we have. Now, if this beaker was all the way full, we probably would want to rethink how we want to go about it, but this is a small scale test to see if we actually have silver in here. So let's go ahead and add some distilled water. Let's see here. So we got 100 grams of material. I've got 300 milliliters of distilled water. And we're going to go with, let's see here. Let's start with 50 milligrams, or excuse me, milliliters of nitric. I'm going to fill this with 150 because I imagine we're going to use a little more than 50, so then I don't have to pour any more in here. Let's see, 110, let's go to 150. That's going to be my guess. Could be wrong. That's why we're not dumping it all in there right away. All right, 150 in here. We're going to start with 50. Almost right on the money. A little more than 50 to start with. Let's go ahead and put that on and put that on the heat. Get this over here. I don't like the acids close to the edge. Alright, well, we're going to let that nitric do its thing. Hopefully we can pull some silver out of there. Alright, we're back. Looks like we're still producing some fumes here. Now I'm thinking to myself, this was 100 grams of material. And I put 50 milliliters of nitric in here. But it's not all metal, so I don't know what I was thinking. Not very hard, I guess. So we could potentially have all of the metals dissolved out of here and just be boiling this off, because I guarantee you most of the weight is actually the ceramic that I destroyed. So I imagine we have plenty of leftover nitric in here. Now I'm just going to keep this boiling until there's nothing left to it, because I imagine we've already consumed all of the metal in here. There's no way that I definitely overkilled it with the nitric. All right, and I'm not going to add anything else to consume this stuff, or I don't want to put anything else, like silver in here wise to utilize the nitric, because we're trying to figure out what is in here. Are they worth keeping? So a couple of good things that I noticed right off the bat here. I'll let this cool down. I'm actually going to put a little bit of distilled water in there, and we'll let that cool down. But that looks fairly blue, right? If that thing was chock full of copper, that'd be really green. That'd be really dark solution. That's actually fairly light. Now I imagine it's not clear because of all the tin. I imagine there's a lot of tin in there. I kind of said that previous clip. Kind of expected there to be plenty of tin in there. But that looks really light in color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit overnight, and then we're going to go ahead and filter it out, because I want to see what this looks like after all said and done. I want to see what we look like for color. But yeah, I don't see any metal in there, so there's no question that I messed up and put way too much nitric in there. I 100% know I put way too much nitric in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been a goofy day. I probably should have just waited. It's Friday today. I probably should have just waited till tomorrow. I don't know. Well, I do know what's up. I'll tell you about it later. But anyways, we will take a peek at that in the morning. All right, we're back. And it is the morning. This is all settled out quite nicely. A lot of tin. Look at that. A lot of tin in there. This is definitely going to be a fun one to filter out. Yeah. Definitely going to be fun. So, doing a bigger batch of these. Well, let's see here. Depending on what we know is going on in here. So if there's silver in here, the best bet would be, I imagine, is to go hydrochloric. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. If you do hydrochloric, you risk rinse. I don't know. Let's pursue. Let's go further and then start thinking about once we know what's in here. I'm going to do a little test, though. I'm going to get a little bit of this solution, and we're going to drop some hydrochloric in there, some HCl, and see if we can't get any silver out of it. Alright, let's see what we got here. I'm going to grab a new pipette for the solution. Alright. Let's see here. Just fill that up a little bit. We'll go one more. See, it looks pretty clear to me, which is either a good sign or a bad sign. It's either there's not enough metals in here to really saturate the distilled, or there's silver in there. We know silver nitrate is clear. So hopefully it's option 2. Alright, now hydrochloric. Time of reckoning here. Grab my hydrochloric pipette, and what do we got here? Before I put this in, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. And here we go. Oh, ho, ho. There we go. That's a great sign. That's a lot. Okay. Okay. I see what we're playing with here, and I like it. So as Glitter and I have kind of come to thinking that that is silver, I would definitely have to say we have a good chunk, a good amount of silver in there. But we won't know until we pull the rest of it out of there. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That is good. I am really excited to see what we get out of there. So we got 100 grams of this stuff. So we got a pretty good number to figure out what we're working with. So let's get to the filtering process and cement this bad boy out. Quite the process of filtering. I can already tell you that just by the amount of tin we have there at the bottom. There's a ton of it. Now, I did that on purpose, and I knew we were going to have some tin. Now, that's a little more than I expected, but that's okay. I'd rather filter it out than you know, run it through the filter a bunch of times versus run a bunch of distilled water, and you know, hydrochloric to remove the tin, a bunch of distilled water to remove the hydrochloric acid, and then go into nitric acid. So I'd skip both of those steps because it's a lot cheaper to just run it through the filter a couple of times. But knowing that we've got that much tin in there, I am going to run 2 filters right off the bat. We're going to plug the first one, and I'm sure we're going to have to run it through again, which, like I said, we already knew that we had to run this, you know, a couple of times, because we already knew that our opponent, the tin, was going to be part of our journey today. And that's okay. That is okay. I probably should have ran one and then the other, because it never likes to seal properly when I go ahead and put 2 in. So I don't know why I do that. Get a good fold crease. Alright. Grab my gloves here. I'm going to try to do this slowly as possible, but that tin is very thin, so I imagine the best way to do this will probably be to decant the clear liquid, filter the clear liquid out, and then separate it. So after we run that through, that's actually, I think, what I'm going to do. Because then we're not trying to deal with 500 milliliters of nasty liquid. We're only trying to deal with 200 milliliters of nasty liquid. So let's figure out how I'm going to do that. Alright, well, I think we're just going to go for it. Alright, that solution came out really nice. At least the first half. Now we get to deal with that. Alright. Let's get this out of here. Nope. Not gonna work. It's gonna go into the top. Get you in the loop here. Perfect. All right. Let's keep that up and over out of the way here. And deal with this fun stuff. Hook my vacuum back up. And let's get a time roll on this. See how long it takes. actually, it's coming out pretty clear right off the bat. I like that. We'll run it through one more time, but that's actually not too bad. I imagine it's going to come to a screeching halt here soon, but only one way to find out. Alright, so that actually went way smoother than I expected. This is still the first go around of filtering. We're all done. We pulled it all out. Look at this here. Tin for days. Tons of it. Tons of it. Tons of it. But we expected that. And I'm really glad that I didn't do the hydrochloric to get rid of the tin, because it would have costed way more. Yes, everything would have been a little smoother, a little easier, but the cost would have went up, right? All the acids, all the water, all the rinse water, that's all a cost. And we ended up with our silver nitrate, and it's clean. So we're going to do this 2 more times. We're going to go ahead and filter this twice. But before I do that, I'm going to get rid of this. And we're going to mix both of our solutions. So our first clean one that's in the back, and what we got left here. And we're going to go with a new filter. So I'm going to, yeah, I'll take you along for that, right? I don't think this is going to be a very long video. So this is that silver chloride settled out. We got a nice amount there on the bottom, so I'm really excited to see what we get. Alright, let's get rid of this, because this is the first thing to go. That's got some weight to it. And I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of leftover nitric here. There's no question about that. So when we go to put copper in here, I would not be shocked if we have quite a bit of reaction. Because I wasn't thinking very hard when I went and put that in there. And we just went right for 50. I'm like, you know what? It's good, it's fine. There's 100 milligrams. 50 is way too much. Way too much, and I already know that you guys are gonna scold me. And it's well deserved for sure on that one. That was definitely my goof up. And then we're also going to add some distilled water here. See if we can get this thinned out a little bit. It'll make the filtering process a little faster, even though it's a little more liquid to process. It's not the end of the world. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is not take you long for cleaning this up, because that is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Alright, that actually popped out of there nice and easy. So I do have to get a filter on there, which these gloves are kind of a pain in the rear to set the filter. They're nice because they're reusable. And that solution is fairly clear right to begin with. We probably could skip this step, but let's see how clear we can get it. Let's see how clear. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty clear. Wow, that looks really good actually. Probably just have to run this once, maybe twice, just to see if we can get all the filter, if the filters kind of bite the dust. And I did a really nice job cleaning this. I didn't see any cloudiness when I poured that in there. So I know I got all the chlorine from the tap water out. So that's always a good thing. It's always a bummer when you don't rinse it off good enough and that chlorine reacts and bam! You immediately get some silver chloride. You're like, that's fun. So my glasses are fogging up. I can't see. Let's see. Wow, yeah, that's... No, we're going to run that one more time. We got a couple of floaters. The one thing that I have a hard time rinsing off is the Buckner funnel, the little holes in it. So sometimes there's like some debris that gets stuck in the holes. So we'll run that again. Alright, so that's the first round of all of the solution being filtered. We're going to hit this up again, see if we can't get it any better. And then we're going to go ahead and see what we can get for silver. Alright. Filter stayed nice and clean, so that's good. And one more go, and I think we should be good. Like I said, this solution looks really nice. Nice and clear. And that's the name of the game. Oop, let me get my... That is the name of the game. Just going right through that filter. Nice and quick. Alright, I'm going to go make some copper coil so we can get a cool video for cementing. Alright, this is crystal clear and I think we are ready. We're ready! We made it. This has actually been a really smooth refining. I like it. We got a couple dubs since that copper cell stuff. That was, man, I tell you, that was a pain in the rear. So we'll definitely have to work on that process, but we'll take this one. Alright, so let's pull this bad boy off. I think we're ready to go. Got to get the couple last taps, because I don't know why, every time you take the vacuum off, you got the last couple of drops that just like to hang on. Hang on for dear life. I don't know if I'm going to break out the light table. I don't think there's enough silver in to make a cool shot there. But I will make a coil just in case. Now if I had 1,000 milligrams of these, I definitely would do the light table, because I feel like there's definitely enough for that. Alright, here comes the coil. Bam, in it goes. I made my hanger a little long. That's okay. And there it goes. Alright, we'll let that sit for a little while. I'm sure it's going to take a second before we see real anything come out of there. But I think we found some silver. So I am applying a little bit of heat to this solution just to see if we can get the reaction to speed up a little bit. And we got some pretty good silver coming on there. I'm really happy with that. And there we go. So I am extremely curious. That looks really black. I probably should have broke out the scientific straw a little earlier. We're gonna have, we're still gonna have some goodies in solution. If that's the case. Definitely not as much. But I think we should do a status on this. I actually was informed that these could potentially carry platinum metal group. Platinum group metals. There we go. PGMs. got a little color there. Well, if there is, we'll definitely be seeing whatever's in there in my SilverStoll slimes. But we've got some good chunks falling off of there. And we got some good crystal growth going on. Alright, so I want to do the scientific straw test again. But with the stuff that I used to test if we had silver. This is going to have a little more accurate representation of the actual metals we've got in solution. Ooh, that was a much better reaction. So there's definitely palladium in there. Definitely some palladium in there. Okay. Alright, well that makes 100%, let's see here. That makes sense why that cement silver is so black. We've got some palladium cementing out in there. So the next experiment after this is we'll melt this into a button. We'll keep it separate, and we'll see if we can grab all of the silver out of there with some hydrochloric acid, and then we'll go ahead and cement the palladium out on copper. That'll be a great test for the MLCCs. See how cementing just the palladium out will be. Alright, I would say our reaction is completely done. I shook the coil off last night before I went to bed, and we haven't had any growth, so I imagine everything is definitely here on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I can see a couple floaters at the top, so we'll give that a spray, see if we can get those to come down off of the water column. Or off of the surface tension, I should say. Slowly pull this out so we can let everything kind of settle all at the same time here. We'll save that coil for a couple other processes. There we go. I think I got it. Alright, so we'll let that settle, and then I'll pour that off of there. I'm going to go right into the stock pot with that instead of a separate. I'm actually kind of running out of beakers. I got so many experiments going on here. And then I'll bring you back. We'll do a couple rinses on that. I'll probably move it to a smaller beaker just for ease. And then I'm not going to do anything crazy like I did with those bars with the rinsing process, because I actually am going to melt this up into a button, and I know it's going to be silver and palladium, and just because of how dark that is. So I'm going to melt it up again after we rinse it, and then just so that I can keep it separate, and then later we'll do a refining. Maybe I'll wait till we do the MLCCs. I'll do a 1,000 gram or 1,000 gram or a 100 gram test, I should say, of the MLCCs, and then I'll add that to that. Nah, I don't want to do that because I don't want to mix up the test. Well, we'll do that before we get into the MLCCs, because that'll be a good test. We got silver and we got palladium. So what I'll do is I'll separate the silver with either salt or hydrochloric, and then I should be able to cement out all of our palladium. And at that time, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of palladium, but it should be almost jet black. So right now it's kind of gray, and that's only because we got that mixture of copper, or not copper, silver in there, which is a lighter cement color. So it's kind of cool. This is really my first time cementing palladium out, and just from doing some reading about those MLCCs, that's the only way I know, or the only reason why I know that cementing is jet. When you cement palladium, it's jet black. So let's get on to that. Cool. All right, let's do a couple of rinses here. Some distilled water. I'm almost out. Gotta go get some more. I'll go ahead and throw that up on the heat. And we'll let that boil for a little bit. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and melt this up. I didn't do a crazy amount of rinses on it because I don't want to lose a ton of it, because we only have a small portion and I'd like to get an accurate weight as possible. So I figure if I do 3-4 rinses on there, try to clean it up, we're definitely going to run into wicking a lot of that away. Maybe not a lot, but enough to change the variable of the experiment. So we're going to go ahead and melt that up into a button, and I'll just do it wet. Put it in my melt dish wet, evaporate the rest of the moisture off, and then go ahead melt it into a button. Now it's not going to be pure silver, right? So because we have some palladium in there, that's why it's so dark. But we'll get a weight of, let's just say, overall precious metals between silver and palladium. And then in the future we'll go ahead and refine this again with hydrochloric after the nitric oil to precipitate our silver chloride, and then we'll cement the existing palladium out. But we'll do that once we get quite a bit. I imagine we're going to have a good run with the MLCCs between palladium and silver. So I'll just add that when I go in and do that. Alright, I changed my mind. I'm actually going to evaporate it in there. It was kind of a pain in the rear to try and get it into the melt dish. Some of that stuff is really light, so it doesn't sink like the gold. That's how I do my gold, is I always keep my gold wet. I never evaporate it. I feel like when it's wet and you melt it, it's less likely to blow out of the melt dish. So that's why I do the gold that way. I'll show you one of these days. But I'm gonna have to melt that up, because like I said, when I go to pour that into the melt dish, it floats versus sink to the bottom. And so when I overfill the melt dish while spraying it out, some of that was I didn't lose any because I saw that was going to happen before it actually happened. So I just poured it back in there, and we'll dehydrate it the old-fashioned way. So I got it all melted up. There it is. It's actually a decent-sized little button. Got it in some distilled water and some sulfuric. We're going to clean up the borax so we can get an exact measurement of how much precious metals we got. So it'll sit on there for a little while, stir it up, make sure everything falls off of there. And then when we're done with that, we'll go ahead, get a weight on it, and wrap this video up. Alright, so we've got 2 grams out of that goodie. Let's see if I can get a better shot here. 2 grams. So that's I can't say it's pure silver, right? Because we know we got some palladium in there. So this will have to be refined again. There's no question about that. Hey guys, so I'm gonna have to chuck that up to a success. It went really well. So let's see here. Out of 100 grams, we got 2 grams of metal. We've got definitely not pure silver. So there's definitely some palladium in here. So we're gonna have to refine this again. But I'll wait till I get a little bigger batch to do so. So I'll make sure I keep it separate, and maybe when all the MLCCs are said and done, I'll refine it with that. It'll make things interesting anyway. But I think I can get the Palladium relatively clean. Just by doing the same washes that I did with that last silver bar, because that silver bar turned out immaculate. I was actually really shocked on how clean that looked. Especially with the pH strips testing, you know, make sure we got all of the base metals out of there. Worked really well. But on that note, I'm going to wrap this refining up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.